extra discipline that LA has taken, I think, especially in their respawns, just trying to find a way to make sure they're capitalizing and really maximizing setups that they're able to put together, and then also making sure they're also in a good spot to at least contest well on their break attempts. That was something that really hurt them when they played against Boston at the major. And even though this stage may not have been as fruitful in terms of hard point wins, they still look really good, and their losses, as slim as they come, are not often all that bad. A 219, 250 and a 215, 250 are the only two demerits. So let's jump on into it. Hacienda hardpoint, Carolina, LA. Let's get it on.
Here we go then. Side of Thieves. I mean, look, I'm really just interested to see how Rex is going to do in this lineup. I think,
Same.
you know, he's a player who's been around a long time in challenges. We both know very well his efforts. For the side of Ravens, what have they got on the cards for themselves here with Rex? I mean, after the conversation last week, is that, oh, you know, the camp's good. A big change comes in pretty much immediately after. Let's see how he does.
Yeah, absolutely the case. He has been focused on, I would say, largely since the Cold War years, where he really started to kind of rise to fruition. A handful of really good finishes, playing alongside players like Phantoms and Yeez, stuff like that. But now finding wins, and multiple wins in the last couple of years with high-level KDs. It is one of those things. It's about darn time that this guy who's been a top AR in challengers gets his first shot. I do think it's one of those conversation points too, like you feel comfortable, I think, if you're Rex, jumping into a team that is as complete as it is, but at the same time you also feel the pressure because they're bringing you in to beat teams like LA. So see if he can provide that little extra boost that the Carolina Royal Ravens need.
Great time over towards P1 for them, but this P2 rotation looking solid. Hydra, this kind of flank as well, just so dangerous. Find to second, and that push from the side of Ravens will be entirely nullified. Kind of like this from Hydra, just fighting that spot consistently, making it so difficult for the Ravens to even move up the map. Consistently aggressive, and the whole looking not too bad. Big 1v1 about to go down though. Scrap trying to hold him down.
Yeah, really good awareness coming through, and he's got help, I think, in particular through driveway, so he's able to clean up things from the front. The only pressure here with the last 18 seconds is on the flank, and honestly, if you're the Thieves, you're fine with that. Let's just start moving up the map, see if you can put the Ravens to spawn behind P2, which looks like that very well may happen. Foot race going over towards fences, though, at the moment. It'll be Envoy trying to meet TJ, and whoa, more than meets him. Takes his head straight off, and a chance here for Thieves to go scrap to initial.
Wonderful work from the side of Thieves again. Just these transitional gunfights, catching them off guard. A little bit of bad time on the side of Ravens as well. That's a tough one to take. Thieves starting to put the foot down on the pedal firmly. TJ trying to find something through the office side, as well as the push now starting to come through from the Ravens up through fences. Can you find the break?
Now, at the moment, it's just not enough conviction to get through. Envoy, who's on 5 in a row, sucks around the outside for kill number 6, and Envoy now taking over. More hardpoint score and time going his way, inching closer and closer towards a very early Hellstorm. And for the Ravens, again, this has just been a mismatch all year long between these two teams, and not the start that the Ravens are looking for.
Absolutely not. I think it is that big transition, isn't it, over towards P3. I know it can be scrappy, but I mean, that's a little better. Ravens will find a few kills, and that should be some good time. Yet Thieves will walk away with their tail between their legs, and this is still on the cards. The side of Carolina Royal Ravens. Can you find a second? If you're Gwyn, you cannot. Hydra is there to pick up the pieces, but this transition, they're going to be here pretty quickly. Thieves have got a couple of numbers, but not as many as they would like. Default will pop. Ravens not far away.
How about I like this out of scrap? Just put yourself in a very tough pot to be traded out. But predicted nicely, Gwyn finds the opener. Now a chance to pinch it for Carolina. Secondary elimination comes into the hard point, leaving Ghosty now by himself, and it's just too much to deal with. Really fluid on this break attempt coming out of Carolina. Good awareness, good situational movement, and the pinch now allows a chance to break and even force out the early Hellstorm. Could pack a punch here, though, as the ordnance gets called in, but they do delete the cruise missiles, so Carolina still holding around the hard point.
Just about scrap inside of the point now. They will find a way through. The missile does enough to disrupt. One last fight. Ghosty gets it. 20 seconds to go here, and this could be really good time for the side of Thieves. You think a 120 to 56 lead heading into it would have been beautiful, but for the Ravens, they can get that scrap time. 10 seconds remaining, and they will pick it up. So, I mean, after a first rotation, it's just Thieves on the beat, just that little quicker. For Ravens, I suppose a lot of their successes come from like some nice breaks, but not a whole load to write home about. But that lead is not insurmountable.
Yeah, rotational, you know, kind of focus put aside. Yeah. It really has been Carolina doing a nice job of kind of cauterizing the wounds and mitigating the damage that can be done by these early rotational wins by the Thieves. And now you're only down less than 30 points, and you're still soaking up some pretty solid time here in the first 15 on P1. Slasher trying to get back to the high ground, but instead runs into the waiting arms of Scrap, who turns that into a second. Thieves able to clean up the hard point, move across the map, and set themselves up for success moving over towards P2.
Beautiful once again from the Thieves. Hydra once again. That tip of the spear. And Slasher trying to keep them at base. P2 popping in 25. Hydra just ghosting around the map. Rex eventually able to take him down. A little bit more pressure here, though, from the Ravens. They get some okay time over towards P1, and P2 popping. They are very much yet.
Well, Envoy deals with the first. Follow-up is absolutely perfect. And I will say, just kind of looking at that scrap time, I understand that like you don't have many routes available if you're the Ravens to try to break into the P2 side of the map, but falling there, front side checkers, now makes this rotation super difficult. Good nades, good stuns. May not make a difference, though. Hydra covered, and Hydra for 2 shuts down the play off the pinch, and once again forces the Ravens to hit from the worst possible position.
Yeah, Gwen is able to find something, but as you can see, last P2, 52 seconds to the side of Thieves, and absolutely zilch for the Ravens. And so far, it's looking like a bit of a repeat. 20 seconds in, Ravens have barely even seen the point, never mind got on it. 35 remaining.
It's always so tough for a new player in, like just trying to, especially as an AR player, work rotations, work on anchorings and setups, but it's just the SFGs for LA are not allowing Carolina to get put together in any form. Hydra now with an AR in hand. He's good for another 19 and 14 more in front of him, but there's Rex trying to open things up. He does take down 2, leaving an opportunity for Gwyn to finish off the scrap time, but he will drop. LA starts to run away, and as we do, we move over to an LA Thieves listen in on rotation.
Rex, that office. Going well, boys. Blocking the back. No, I'm blocking the back. All well. I'll full kill. I'll full kill first. I'm blocking all of it. They double spawn on the back. They double spawn on the back. I let them all spawn there. Just hold. All there? Yes. They should all be there. I died. Definitely. Shoulder and elbow. One elbow. I'm office. We're gonna go office. You should. Office. I'll get him. Get him.
Office. No, weak.
I need your.
Two face. Two office.
Look your top. Elbow. Yeah. Elbow. I ever touched that. Inner. One shot teach. One shot top. One shot top. Inner. One shot inner teach, and then outer. One shot outer. Outer. It's still flat. I can look at time teach. Then on time. It's like flat control. Yeah, it's like time. I'm gonna pitch window. Cat. Yo, already cat. Cat, one bullet. 2 hit plat. Plat. Go. Yeah. Shot. On time weak, right? Outer weak. And inner dead. Nice. Outer weak.
Nice. Slash.
Outer siege. Happy to be here. That's cool, right? One more outer. One more outer old. Help hold the resource. Outer right now. And you. You and outer. You to mid. No, I don't see him. Good time. I got P2. Yeah. Right, jump up, cat.
Yeah, pushing P2 for me.
Yeah, I got you. But they're top open. I have fully burning. Yeah, I'm holding fire pinch. Top open. Yeah, I fire pinch turning. Top office. Close. Give me a second. In office. In office. Jumped out. Office said good come.
Don't die.
One shot. Both. I left headshot. Nice. I blocked just spawn. Slasher just spawn. I'm taking fire. Yeah, I spawn secret. I can take fire. Go do it. I have fire. I have all their side. I have all their side. Yeah, I heard you.
Put your feet.
Maybe their side.
Yeah, I'm laying down right here.
Yeah, let's team shot. Yo, center for the slide, Paco, like to your right. What are you trying to say?
Yeah.
Oh, nothing here.
They have to be in.
Two more, last two. Nice. I'm sprinting.
Win.
It's absolutely perfect, and you even got Dan Ghosty telling Hydra where to put his reticle. Put it a little bit more towards the center to deal with the slide. I got you over the top. And again, it's just every single T is crossed, every single I is dotted. Envoy over the top of the head. He almost able to capitalize for maybe what would be the final game-winning play, but Carolina get a little bit of scrap, and they'll extend it to another hard point here. But Chris, it's just one of those things that you look at this, and it's just, again, LA Thieves dominating, not allowing Carolina any moments on rotation at all.
Yeah, it's just been consistent from them, hasn't it? Consistently behind the pace if you're the Ravens, and consistently finding everything you need to if you're the side of Thieves. I mean, Hydra right now is just, he's a ghost for them at the moment. He's really difficult for them to deal with, and they are not dealing with him. DG will find something on Envoy, and this is a potential opportunity again for Ravens to get some okay time at P1, but it's also an opportunity for the Thieves to finish this one off. Ravens, you need to find a break at P1.
I think the storyline for this map, honestly, if you're looking at this from the perspective of LA Thieves, is that it just continues to force the Ravens to have to do 2 things at once. You got to break the roll, you got to rotate to do. You have to break the roll, you have to rotate to do. It's just too much stacked up against this Ravens team, especially now late in the game where you have to play the war on 2 fronts. Hydra just being annoying. The whole rest of the team is already ready to go for P2, but Hydra still hitting old time. And again, just keeps forcing the Ravens to make one and only one decision, and it's not going to feel good. So we go back over to Lambo. Maybe a chance for one more pinch, but Scrap shuts it down. 33 and 15. Oh my goodness. How about one with the pistol through the doors as well to finish that one off? Cool, calm, and collected. LA dominant.
Incredible work across the board. Everyone doing their jobs, and Ravens, a shaky start with the new roster online. It's always tough though. I mean, Thieves just so fluid. I think you kind of pointed out all the way through of just how they're able to skate across. Handshakes all around. Thieves, one to the good.
Doctor. Clean stuff coming through. And again, it's one of those, like, this is a really tough debut matchup for Rex. Let's just call it what it is. Like, this whole move, it kind of, we talked about it a little bit in the beginning of this map. It's both, I think, easy to read in terms of, like, if you're Rex, like, great, you're gonna feel comfortable. You're into a 3-man squad that has looked really solid across the entirety of the year. It's not a situation like you're the guy trusted to come in and completely, radically change the identity of a team. You're supposed to be an improvement. You're supposed to be a marked upgrade for what they feel like they were missing out on. So you feel like, okay, this is a comfortable spot for me to jump into. I don't have to worry about trying to do it all. I just got to fulfill a role. Problem is, that role that they need is the role that they're missing out on when it comes to beating teams like Thieves. I mean, they've only gotten a single map win versus these guys. The same can be said when they play up against other teams in the same ballpark. You know, even talk about like your Phases and things of the nature, even your Vancouvers. Like, it's not a good winning record versus those squads. And that's where the pressure comes in for Rex, is that you're now the guy that needs to escalate this team to be a definitive, at least top 3 squad. And at least in this opening instance, not an immediate improvement.
It's hard to do, especially you look at some of the top teams in this game. You're coming in against Thieves, like, all right, okay, yeah, all the best, like straight into your first one, that Hacienda. You've got Hydra literally everywhere. You got to deal with Scrap. I mean, it's nightmare fuel. It's not like, you know, like if he comes in and has a good game, it gives you that air of immediate confidence. And, you know, is it a case of reveling under that pressure? So far, not necessarily. Not going to point everything over towards him, because, I mean, when Scrap's hitting clips like that, I mean, my God, what are you supposed to do? LA Thieves, very comfortable map number 1, and it is a baptism of fire for Rex.
Yeah.
Welcome to the lake,
poetically told. Yeah, exactly. And the thing about it again is, like, he's deserved this spot. You know, watching over the last 5 years, or even back to like 2019, playing with that UYU team, you could definitely see that, yeah, this guy is shooting, and he's got the opportunity to really be a difference maker in the league. But like you mentioned, jumping right into one of the best respawn teams that we've seen in the CDL is not an easy feat. So now we take our focus to the search and destroy. And I will say, just kind of reflecting on how Carolina has been over the course of, we'll just call it the last stage or so, the search has actually been pretty positive for them overall. They still hold a pretty solid record, all things told. So you have to think that there are protocols in place. The only difference maker, though, is that this Carolina team has not played Rewind yet. So it's going to be a fresh look with a fresh roster take in this stage, Chris.
Yeah, it should be an interesting one, but I think, again, it's just going to be a case of keeping an eye on Hydra. Can they deal with him in and around the certain areas in the map? It is a tough one, but of course you need JARs. I think as well, especially for me, watching how this one does typically play, it's going to be about maybe retaking. Are you going to go for these big hits in over towards that A site? It's a tough one to try and deal with. There's a couple of different ways you can play it, but with the way that the Thieves are playing right now, and Search and Destroy as well, it is going to be tough. Envoy and Hydra are going to be big issues for Carolina heading into this one. And how do they deal with them? Find out very shortly.
Yeah, and just to kind of speak to where this KD comes from, a lot of it is off of their ability to open things up. Their opening dual win percentage is incredibly well placed on the leaderboards, individually on the player leaderboards. And I think just generally look at the whole squad. It's not just like one player is taking over, finding a first blood, and then we're chilling. It's a collective ability for them to jump in, isolate, and find a free first blood. It often goes untraded, it feels like. I think especially reflecting on their series versus LAG on red card, where it's just like they put themselves in what looks to be some pretty mixy areas, but are still finding a first blood, getting away with their lives. So that's going to be, I think, an interesting test. Looking at the Rewind, which they're just 1-1 on so far on this stage, are LA Thieves. Their loss being to Toronto, which is a round 10 affair that honestly felt like it could have gone either way. So we'll see if the improvements are going to be there. And on the other front, let's see what the instant chemistry looks like when it comes to adding Rex to this Carolina roster.
Those opening duels going to be extremely important when it does come down to Rewind. It's a tough one to retake in towards sites, attack, defense. We'll see how it goes down. But yeah, man, I think, again, it's a very tough one to be thrown into. As you mentioned, the record between these two teams speaks for itself. Thieves just got their domination. Opening salvo here on the outside over towards this 8 point. Not necessarily going to get much from it for either one of these two teams, but Thieves taking their time, as are the Ravens.
Yeah, and for the Ravens, this is about trying to feel out if there's going to be any sort of a initial play towards gens. Nothing there, so you can take that ground and then use it as a linchpin towards capitalizing on any sort of a B hit if there is a pinch that becomes available. Gwyn the one trying to get a read on that. But again, for Thieves, really meticulously feeling things out, and they read that, okay, we can get into A. It's going to force the Ravens to have to largely play this flank through laundry.
Can they find a way in? Slasher with the opening blood. So I think one player's on the flank, and now it's going to be about what TJ can do as well. But Slasher well positioned. Can he find anything else? Yes, he can. TJ on the other side has done well. Hydra's the only one who can find it. Now left in the 1v3.
Yeah, and the diffuser's already on for Gwyn. Maybe a chance to
timing.
get here, beat the diffuser, but red on the side door. Kill comes through, but Hydra cannot commit to taking off the diffuser. So that'll be enough for Carolina to get the retake. A lot of good pressure around the flank. I think it is in particular, it's just that challenge that you see through the double doors at DVD. Slasher gets one for free before Hydra tries to slide out with that play. It just looked like maybe a miscomm right there for LA.
Hydra now gets a bit of nice timing over towards the backside of things in the last stages of that round, but that would have been tough from that. Yeah, Thieves get aggressive. Ravens patient. Surround them. Find the opening blood, and from there just collapse. Thieves are crumbling ever so easily. Ravens now on the attack themselves. Similar look this time out as well. Nair plan potentially imminent, but Thieves maybe a little bit more pressure.
Yeah, and I think this is interesting because Flash is already giving up street control. I think he may have gotten a read that someone had pushed through Burger. So you see Rex stepping up, pushing that off. And now you have an opportunity to maybe even try to use your numbers to take a 3v1 or a 4v1 out towards B. And that's exactly what happens. Envoy isolated. And now here comes the hit on to B.
Spot looking like it's going to go down. Hard retake for Thieves on this one. It's going to be on Hydra trying to find a route, but right now, Scrap the one who's finding the kills. The shot's crispy as ever. Finds a second. The third was nearly found, but everybody else can now kick into gear 2 versus 3 in favor of Thieves.
I love that from Hydra. Just mantles over, finds a couple of the pot shots, sets it up for Scrap to hop on for the defuse. Ghosty going to be watching right over the top of him, and Rex. Yeah, it's just one of those situations that you just are not going to have the time nor the space to jump back over to contest the defuse, and that's just an unbelievable first 2 from Scrap, followed up by good intel gathering from Hydra.
I mean, the shot for the player that he actually didn't kill, incredible as well. There's 3 on the line from him. Did find the third in the end, and it's all but written in the stars which way that one's going to go. But let's have a look at these shots again from Scrap from a third-person point of view. Gwyn deleted. It was Slasher who was like, "Oh, I'm challenging that." Wait, no, I'm not. TJ dealt with very quickly. Just the wherewithal from Scrap to know the challenge coming. Well played. Thieves bouncing back very, very quickly around that. Didn't necessarily look as clean cut as you would have wanted, but with Scrap finding players like that, always helps.
And that's the thing too. It's like, I think the Ravens make the right read, but yeah, when you got an island player like Scrap who can handle his own, that's good news. Envoy, ooh, sees the high-low stack over towards the connector. Gets the read, hits the stun, now off the regen. Does he want to try to force this? And yeah, he will clear the staircase out. Important moment there for Thieves, is now they can get onto A.
Yeah, it's a freebie. Can you find anything for your Envoy this time? They re-wrap around, get very aggressive very quickly. Advantage now with Ravens, but those go down.
Problem here though is that you really are trusting that Hydra can get a read from inside the site, because everything else is just hoping you got good COD timing on the outside of the site, and that's just not coming through. Ravens again just making a mess of the outside of Jens, but hold up, they line up just a touch. No one's on for the defuse here. Hydra gonna get the reset. How does he win that? Just down to Slasher to the 1v1 with Hydra. Time could be an issue for him, and Slasher's gonna go hunt for the kill. Has to find it and has to find it now. And he's just barely missed the shoulder from Hydra. There will not be enough time, nor will there be the chance as Hydra gets the shutdown. What a save.
And Scrap just looking over at his teammate and saying, how on earth has he pulled that one off? It's the kill on the Rex. Well, it doesn't seal the deal, but just about gets the pens out for that one for the side of the Thieves. Here we go. This was how it broke down. Finds one through the wall. It was the second that was picked up by Ghosty, but it's this one from Rex. 6 HP. Just on the regen. Takes one bullet and absolutely wipes Rex off the face of the planet. Big plays from Hydra. Thieves now in the lead.
Yeah, that's just, again, one of those moments that I was about to frame it up. Like, Carolina's finding a lot of defensive success playing through gens. But again, another individual moment comes through. Danes to the top of the defense. Not going to deter Ravens from jumping right on into the site, and Scrap is there to greet them. And it's not a welcoming greet, as TJ will find and be able to create an exit from this play. And a follow from Slasher gets us from a 2v4 to a 2v2 instantly.
Scrap maybe overheating with the child. Slasher will find it. TJ a little on his own here, but Thieves have been back down ever so slightly. Hydra and Ghosty happy to give up some map control and go for a retake on some sort of level if they can. TJ the tip of the spear, Slasher there, backing it up if he can as well, but A is going to be the opportunity.
Oh,
The Ravens.
timing.
This is aggressive play. Hydra gets through and finds a second big play from the side of Thieves, but yeah, the timing not on their side.
You know, again, it's another one of those moments. I think if you look at that and just evaluate the decision, I actually kind of like the call from the Ravens to not just stay inside of A. The Semtex, the stun pushes them off the B site. You know there's going to be some sort of a wrap back into courtyard, but I just don't think you expect that LA are going to follow you out to street side. And that timing is just everything there for the Thieves. Just counteracted beautifully, considering that, again, the play call seemed pretty fluid for Carolina. It's just, again, timing-wise, didn't really work out.
It's one of those, isn't it? I think if Hydra doesn't win that first, it's a very different situation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Scrap does well to find a couple, sets themselves up, and it's 4 in a row for Hydra. He highlighted he will be a big problem for Ravens to deal with, and right now they can't touch him.
Little feel out play on the extremities of the map right now as Ghosty's taking a look over towards Burger Street. You've got Envoy playing up in towards Courtyard and a late RC car to clean out the front side at A. The player that would maybe follow up on this would be Scrap. Shots come through, damage is in. Is there a follow-up? Is there isolation? No. Gwen's able to get back out, get the reset. We'll stay 4v4.
The French apparently not known for their driving. Slasher will find one of the Ghosty. And Gwen finds another as well. 3 versus 2 now in the favor of the Ravens. Thieves have been battered away with a lot of pressure that was coming in. Gwen just playing the angle. Great nade on the Scrap. And now a 1 versus 3 for Hydra.
Yeah, it's just a really good feel out from Gwen. The nade, a bonus on it. Hydra on 4 in a row. May want to consider just chalking this round and seeing if he can stay alive, but the Ravens also aware that he's holding on to streaks, so the hunt is on. Hydra just running for his life. And honestly, he may have a chance to kind of throw this back to sender here.
It's just too many players around each other, though. This is surely going to be very difficult. Hydra, go for the plant. No time. Had to go for it. Ravens really well. Wolf packing together. And just difficult for Hydra on that. So big plays coming out from Gwyn, though. Really nice job over towards that side. He sets the round up for them. And Hydra's can do very little on his own. 7-2 out of him now, but the round ultimately goes Ravens' way.
And it's another one of those moments that after the initial attack is kind of feeling things out on the outsides of the map. As soon as the RC comes through, Slasher slips up in towards really the drive-through lane. Getting the first blood and then holding his life is super crucial towards Carolina staying alive through the streak. So good response. We've got a bit of a chess game going on here, Don. And honestly, it's one of those situations that it feels like Ravens are, you know, trading power pieces nicely. It just comes down to how do we actually corner in the queen here, as there's going to be a high-low setup. It's double chowed out, and Envoy reaps the reward of 2. Rex trying to find the exit, but Ghosty will push him off, and we'll stay 3v2.
I think you described it perfectly. It is a bit of a chess game, isn't it? Of who, well, I mean, this is its own game on its own between Slasher and Scrap on the outside.
Facts.
Slasher seems to actually not be doing too badly when it comes down to these 1v1s on the outside. He's found a lot of success. And is that going to be a route for Carolina Royal Ravens to get back into this one? Still find themselves behind, but can be a game of chess over towards the safe side, really, can't it? Like, for all the iterations of Rewind that we have seen over the past couple month or so that it has been in, seen a lot of it in challenges, and it is very much, we want to have the give and take of getting a hold of A, and do we want to go for retake? Do we want to just hold it down? Right now, this 2v2 though is pretty intense with both two teams very close to each other. Ghosty will find one, and now 1v2 for Slasher.
And he's a bit stuck at the moment. Here comes the double chow. Yep, opposite side of the hedge. Just no way you read that. And honestly, it's just one of those situations. If you're the Thieves, you play that perfectly. You know, if they plan at A, then okay, you've got the ability to slip outside, make sure there's no exit over through street. Otherwise, you're able to contest over through courtyard the whole time. But backing up into the Radio Shack area, the electronics store, you get an angle to see if they're going to push at you. And that's where Ghosty finds the follow-up first blood to the 2v2. And then, of course, just the perfect double chow afterwards. So, again, very back and forth. And you're right. I mean, comparing this to what we've seen largely throughout the first portion of the stage, and especially you and I in Challengers, this has been anything but the normal head bash that we've seen, I think, a lot in the Challenger space. And even for a number of the teams that we've seen try to approach this rewind, this has been very strategic, very methodical for both teams. And now we're going to get our first level of defensive aggression from Carolina.
Scrap goes for it. Temptation was there. Gunfight's not quite falling for the Thieves. Avoiding Ghosty though do survive momentarily, but look at this map control for Carolina. Will do well to throw this one away.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no. Two isolated gunfights now have the map split into two different 1v1s potentially. Ghosty, the bomb carrier, though, gonna wrap all the way back around. Try to at least catch angles to where him and his teammate can trade each other out at worst, or maybe get team shots in at best. But Carolina's just gonna hold and stick to their guns, kind of playing backside of A and keeping Slasher in a position to try to get read through courtyard.
Just for Ravens now, it's about sitting tight and just trying to control what you can, because as far as information goes, they could literally be anywhere, but you know they're not right now inside of it. About to collapse though from the outside. 22 seconds to go, 2v2.
Ghosty's gonna get this plant off though. Carolina not really privy to try to check for any sort of a plant, at least not at A. So it's gonna have to be a retake. Rex, chance here. Clean. Trade, not gonna be there for Ghosty. But does find a sub to play with. So against the two ARs, can he find a way to get into close quarters? Instead, he just finds Slasher pushing forward. This wasn't all that well timed. And Ghost is going to get the read here that Rex is not going to nearly play for the defuse. And that decision comes through immediately. A 1v2 for Dan Ghosty. And Thieves continue just to outlast the Ravens in these tight rounds.
No, kiss of death from myself there for the Ravens. Except they deal well to lose it, and they did brilliantly at that. Two isolated gunfights, as you point out. Goes from a 4 versus 2 to a 2 versus 2 immediately. Bomb goes down around 45 seconds later, and Ghosty with the 1 versus 2. The Jackal pick up, working out in his favor, catches them off guard, and yeah, Rex just not close enough to his teammate there, and it just felt 1 by 1 from Ravens, and now they are 1 by 1 falling. As far as the rounds go, Thieves 1 away from closing this one out, and it might just be a headbutt to try and seal the deal.
Trying for it. Carolina, though, on the other side, making a quick play on the backside of Jens. Hydra has timing off this pinch. First blood there. Slips away. No trade. Now you take your focus back over to Scrap, who's gotten to read that Ravens are on the point. Envoy able to push on through. Good help coming out, and the Thieves. Perfect. And so many of these rounds could have gone really either way. Again, I think Carolina make a couple of good reads, a couple of good adjustments, but that one was anything but, as the Thieves just outwin and outpower this Carolina attack.
Raw horsepower in that last one. Hydra winning the opening blood, and going from there, it's just a squeeze on Ravens, who go for the B push. That's just dipping in and out. Nothing they can do. Thieves very convincing in map number 2 as well as map number 1, in a very comfortable spot. But I mean, like, there was moments for Ravens there though. They'll look back on it. That 4 versus 2, right now we're sitting at 5-3 instead. It's definitely moments that they potentially could have went their way. I think a couple of 1v1s here and there, but definitely felt like there was opportunity for Ravens there, but they do not take it whatsoever, and a vault control is going to be coming up with LA Thieves. 2 to the good.
Yeah, it's just business as usual though right now, son. Hate to tell you, it's just the Thieves in this head-to-head matchup continue to find success no matter what the roster seems to look like. We'll head back to the desk to get their reaction before we come back to map 3.
Players, hear me out. If we're ready, let's just roll it right into game 3, because I think we all know what's going to happen here. Am I right, Allie?
Yeah, it's not looking great, especially with how bad control's been for Carolina Royal Ravens. This is the worst case scenario.
LA Thieves in control of this series. Let's take a look at the search and destroy. Is it just Dan Ghosty being Dan Ghosty? Is everyone good at search on this team? Why do they have the edge? Not just in hardpoint, but also the brains game.
Well, that's because they've just been putting the work in their search and destroy. That's been kind of their struggle, if you can even call it that, throughout the start of this season. But since like the end of last stage, they've essentially put in so much work in cleaning up the search and destroy. And it's because like they know how to play like their timings. I think the round 7 was a really good example when Dan obviously gets stuck in that 1v2. But even before that, there were moments where they stopped just to give themselves the opportunity, in case they were getting chased, in case there was any info on the side of Carolina Royal Ravens, to see if there was a player on their tail. And once there wasn't, they were able to work the site together and give Dan this opportunity to essentially 1v2. Not only were we solo challenging him, but we're allowing him the space to back up and grab an SMG. So for Carolina Royal Ravens, just a couple of mistakes.
Dan Ghosty playing him like fiddle. 6-2 is the final score at the end of search and destroy, but the pain started even before that. With rewind time to Hacienda Nameless.
Yeah, I mean, LA Thieves just dominating them here. And then on that Hasi, you know, it's Dylan Rex's first map in the Pro League this season. And what happens? Scrap goes 34-15. He's like, this is a pro AR, my
Slasher
friend.
shot down a Hellstorm, though. Highlight for Carolina early.
Shout out, nice. I mean, yeah, the P2s, they got absolutely rocked on P2. Yeah, Carolina, I mean, you could tell, like, this roster just formed, bringing Dylan Rex in. This is a very, very tough draw. having to play LA Thieves in your first match. They get pummeled out the game.
Can we look at the scoreboard here, though, Al? It was just a 20-point difference. Now it's 40 points. LA just runs away in the second half. Did they find confidence? Was it just the setups and defending the hills? How do you close out a game this impressively, consistently against Carolina?
The game flow tipped scales, essentially, in that second P2 when LA Thieves got a huge chunk of that time, and all 4 of them were able to make their way over to the fences and get that unreal break off of the back of Hydra and Dan. That momentum shift was just allowing them to control the pace of the game from then on out, and Carolina Royal Ravens just didn't have anything to work with.
So far, he's got 23 kills in the 2 games, a .77. Search and destroy, though, he was just pushed around, bullied by Dan Ghosty. It's not too bad, a .77.
23 over 2 maps?
I've seen a .3 on this show before, Al.
That's true.
Listen, he's not Thanos, all right? These guys have been getting rocked by LAT all season long. It's just a team gap.
What would the bracket look like, I'm told? Well, they have it previewed for us. Thank you very much. If Thieves win this series 3-1, this is a rematch in the opening round. So if I'm Royal Ravens, I'm like, guys, if we want to make it to round 2, we got to get to a game 5 right now.
These guys do not want, this is insane. Like, you get handed this loss and then immediately have to go up against them round 1. Maybe it's a good thing. Maybe it's a rematch kind of situation.
It's not a good thing. They're going to be 5-0 against Carolina this year.
Yeah, definitely not a good thing. Honestly, this bracket, though, is electric. I mean, you look at some of these matchups. Miami versus Ultra would be awesome. Breach versus Optic has the makings of a great round, and then Surge and FaZe, Allie.
Godlike.
Yeah, set that one up. Last match of the day.
We should lock that bracket up.
We're
I think it looks
looking
great
at
as
a
it
fifth
is.
team finishing 4-1. LA is 1 game away. Do they do it here, Ton?
Great question. I would presume so. I mean, look, I think this has looked very, very convincing from the side of Thieves throughout the last 2, but I mean, can they bring it back? I always like to sow the seed of some potential, but I'm not feeling it right now.
No, it's definitely, again, it's one of those mismatch type of relationships between these 2 teams in the head-to-head. It's just one of those situations that it's just the Carolina team cannot crack the code for the Steve squad. There's been a lot of those, though, because there's also been moments where we've seen other teams struggle just being able to figure out another top 3, top 4 team. So tough scenes overall in terms of how you kind of see this head-to-head matchup. But again, this comes with, I think, a little bit of forgiveness just due to the fact that we are dealing with a new roster with Dylan. You're playing up against a red-hot Thieves team that's looking for blood, I think, going through not just this qualifier, but especially the major upcoming.
Yeah, and the major upcoming is something we kind of just talk about that. I'm not too sure if the guys on the desk kind of just touched on it, but if LAT go on to win this series 3-0, 3-1, which is looking very, very likely, this will be winners round 1 for both these 2 teams. So it is a dress rehearsal to a certain degree for both these squads heading into the major. So I think for both of them, it's a good opportunity, especially I would say to get Rex on the board and kind of get things rolling. You know, this is the game you're going to have when we get over towards Miami, and that is, I suppose it's a good thing, right? You know, they can kind of go into it to know what to expect when we do get to that stage. For them, though, I mean, where are you kind of lying with it? Kind of go one way where if you get slammed like what is currently happening, then is that going to affect you negatively, or you just say, okay, well, let's prepare ourselves, let's change up what we did heading into that game. You don't want game they'd rather win, and that's the one on left.
Yeah, and I think the other part about this, like, just to kind of wrap up this Carolina story and how their season has gone, 19-12 overall record in their head-to-heads or their win-loss category. 10 of those losses have come by way of Atlanta, LA Thieves, Toronto, or Vancouver. So it's like, again, that's how you evaluate what this move is supposed to do for Carolina. It's to try to get past those guys, to find a first win versus a team like Vancouver, to find a first win versus a team like LA. That puts you in a spot to potentially contest for a championship. It just comes down to, can they actually do that? Because for a team that I think has often been in between top 3 some weeks, maybe top 6 others, you're trying to find a consistent level of being able to compete with the top dogs in the league this year.
It's a difficult thing to do. And those top dogs are serious ballers, and it's a big step up, a big step up. And for Rex as well, is as mentioned, into the fire. But let's see how it's going to go on map number 3. Can they turn this one around? Feels unlikely, but hey, there's been plenty of surprises on Easter before. I'm down for one again. Let's get it.
It is tough, though. I mean, you can even see the dynamic between these 2 squads right now. Like, Carolina is like just trying to lock in, trying to find the rhythm, trying to get this engine moving, whereas Thieves are just hanging out, vibing, leaning back, smiling, cracking jokes. getting ready to go. Casual fist bumps on that bottom level of the screen as well. Thieves feeling very comfortable, very confident in their ability to take down this Carolina team, no matter what the roster looks like, especially as we start to look at a Vault Control, a map mode combo that has been well rehearsed for Carolina, at least in the roster previously, but for Thieves, 9-2 on it. So not exactly what I would say is unfamiliar territory for them either.
Currently in a 4-win spree in Control. A 5-loss spree for Carolina. And the writing is firmly on the wall here, but as mentioned, we've been surprised before. And it would be a good time for Carolina to try and surprise us here in this series, because it has been one-sided. It's been one-way traffic. I can go on and on. Thieves, though, looking to close this one out quickly. And, well, get back to the families here on this Easter Sunday.
Yeah, exactly the case. I'm also just kind of, again, just to point your attention towards it here, friends. You know, the question was asked on the desk, could Rex run a sub? He absolutely can. It just may be a map at certain moments and times where you might see him pull one out or find one on the ground and just trust it the rest of the way. That slasher can kind of hang on, but, well, it's not been a good break off here, Tony. We've got a 4-for-1 exchange. Second tick already done. TJ with the opener. Nice. There's Rex with a sub and a chance to contest the rest of this A zone.
Yeah, nice bait and switch. Envoy, though, doing the right thing. Diverting attention, taking away pressure. Can't necessarily set up the phone trap. Oh my god, the snap. Ridiculous if he finds the second. Are you kidding me? Envoy. Incredible from the Thieves. Pushing forward, keeping that pressure on even when it looks unlikely. Ravens can just do nothing right now.
No, they really can't. 2 ticks done today. Second tick on the way at B. Gwyn shut down. There's 3 dead. Rex last one left, and he will be found. Envoy has been chilling on this zone. Well, he hasn't been chilling. He's been in a war zone. But he's coming away with every single kill. That'll be the B zone. Wow. You've got one member already on over towards A. Honestly, surprised that Hydra just didn't stack it to get this thing done quicker, but he's playing off the cross. Scrap hanging out, isolating, and wow, Ton, this is an absolute clinic for an opening offense.
Oh my word. I mean, just flawless. It's Envoy for me that really does put a button in that one. I mean, we see a couple of kills go the way of the Ravens over towards the A side. Think, okay, cool, retake. Obviously, okay, well, let's just ease some pressure. Slash a dead Rex. Just not a nice gunfight for either one of them, but it's Envoy who gets the better side of it. 6-1 from him. Big heads up play to just, as mentioned, put your resources in the right place at the right time. Job is done. Thieves get the attacking round they need.
And I think that's one of the first times that we've really been able to, at least from like on board with Envoy, see the decision come through about, we've got a good progress at A. It's starting to get a little dicey. Get out, put the pressure back to B, and Ravens just cannot get their heads on straight after that point. Stun comes over towards the top side of Catwalk. I actually think that hits Gwyn, so that slows down this potential play to play from the high ground. The dive in still coming through though for Carolina, jumping on the point, but the pinch is here, and everything just unfolds in the blink of an eye.
Yeah. Feels like a defeated team right now. The way that Ravens are playing yet. It's one of those moments where you think, okay, what grit have you kind of got in this series? What have you got to show? Right now, very little. They can barely win a gunfight. It's combined 9 kills across the board for Carolina. Envoy has 7 on his own. This is now a dangerous position to be in.
We just can't find kills here, Ton. That's literally all it is right now. No one can find a kill. Finally, we got some space to get out of spawn. Envoy, though, okay, he is right over towards gold. Good follow-up from Slasher to take care of it. And an opener over towards A. Could be a chance to develop as Ghosty is taken down, and this first tick should be guaranteed.
Potential now for the Ravens. Can you solidify A? Give yourself an opportunity. It's a beautiful thing about Control. If you've been getting, well, farmed off your respawn for a couple of minutes, you need a couple of good breaks to come through, but the same can be said for the Thieves. Ah, yeah, it's just too easy. Far too easy to find their way back in. 22-15 as far as the lives go. 30 seconds for Ravens to try and extend that time.
And the spawn trap is already starting to get built here for LA. Pinch on the way from Hydra as the hit starts to develop back over towards the A zone. Hydra clears one on street. Allows the defense to keep their eyes firmly planted on this A zone, where Envoy will get in for a little bit of contest. Follow-up could be there, though, from Rex. Good double. Should be an extra 60 unless Ghosty can create something, but not going to happen. 4 life advantage, minute 15 on the clock as LA try to continue this defense.
I think if you had given this result so far to Ravens, considering how the start of the round went, I think they'd be surprised that they kind of got to this stage. You'd take it. But right now, this is the kind of problem you got to deal with. Ghosty in the middle of the map, marauding around. It's always about the flanks when you're trying to just isolate over towards B. It's easier for Thieves just to spread themselves. Somewhat thin, but the players, with the way that they are shooting right now, the way that they're moving, it ain't that thin really, is it? It's feeling very thick, if anything else.
Yeah, Yeah. Oh gosh, and we're losing long range gunfights there. So again, any potential for this pinch to find success on B is pretty limited to just what TJ can find, and he only gets one. 4 lives remaining here for Carolina, and you're right. You know, creating something out of nothing there from the Ravens is not the worst news, but it may not make much of a difference your time when you're still down 0-2 out of all control, where you're going to have to inevitably play another offense.
I'm reaching at straws, Alan. I'll be honest with you, Shift.
That's fair.
I'm trying to think of a real light for the side of Ravens. We can find one gunfight, but with Thieves now, just an utter domination. It's too easy. Thieves 2 to the good in the series, 2 to the good in the control. This one, well, there's been speedy, to say the least.
Yeah. And I don't know. I think this is one of those situations that you look at and say darkest before the dawn here in terms of what this new roster could be. But the problem is you just don't have a lot of time to do what you want to do with this change. Like, with the principle of why you went down the change in the first place was to find somebody who could up your slaying potential, up that flex role that has been so crucial in the last couple of weeks now here in the CDL. And jumping in, having to play Thieves as your debut match, and then go to the LAN and likely have to play them again. Yeah. That's just, again, such a rude awakening to get your CDL debut.
Ghosty and Kodo, they want to solidify this one if they can. Feels like we need a really strong opener for the side of Ravens. But I mean, look where Hydra is. He's barely even had a gunfight. Scrap and Co doing the work for him, and now positioning himself so well. Ravens, I mean, there's a lot of work they've got to get through if they want to even get to the point to try and defend it. B, 1 tick in. Hydra holding. Can only find the one. Nice bait and switch. Sasha will be there for the pickup, but so much pressure from Thieves once more.
Yeah. Well, the good news is the defense starts to come to life here right before the second tick gets locked, and you have a follow-up kill from TJ at mid, so there will be no transition here from the Thieves to get immediately onto the 8 points. So clock will tick. Slasher gets a read that there is at least some sort of a threat up top of the catwalk. Oh, and the commitment was already halfway there for LA to try to jump onto the point. So timing will work. Defense really putting themselves together and getting a little bit of depletion on that second tick at B.
Yeah, they've done well. And now for Thieves, this is difficult. Ravens have had a chance to set themselves up, holding those irons and finding gunfights so far. Hydra is able to answer back with one, though. Doesn't get too aggressive, but that will have Ravens on a swivel. You'll be thinking, okay, Hydra, has he got aggressive? Has he pushed? No. Still just holding down, but Ravens still doing a good job here. Hydra will find a second, and Thieves will eventually start to click into gear over towards the A side. Potentially on the cards now. Ravens did well. 29 seconds to go.
Yeah, that's great patience, though, from LA with the clock kind of ticking in your head as you're trying to get something going, but with just 2 members left alive, they find the kills that they need, and now can force Carolina to be in a pretty difficult spot in the retake, or will they? TJ, good 3, up and over, gets the informational read, Rex to follow with the pistol, and now you're just getting to kill another 25 seconds. This has been solid, only 3 ticks earned.
TJ doing well. It's 4 in a row now. Trying to survive and doing well. The rest of the Thieves trying to find a way through. For all they were patient previously, you do maybe need to get your skates on in this one. Ghosty can find 2. Scrap will find another big opportunity to extend that time, and they should.
Yeah, and you've got Scrap already getting forward towards the B zone. Exit kills from TJ looking decent now on 6 in a row. Diving back over towards Vault Stairs. Gets the read that there is someone up the middle. That's Ghosty, who the timing of does come through in favor of the Thieves. Trades out. Envoy wins another one. Now Scrap can push forward towards side door at Art. Oh, this is looking dangerous once again as here come the Thieves right down B Street.
And the alarm bells are ringing. Hellstorm coming in and finding plenty.
No.
Yeah, TJ can find something, but Envoy now just putting maybe the final nail in here for the side of Ravens. Thieves in complete control.
Yeah, just another one in a long string of series where the Thieves have had no issues whatsoever with this Carolina team. Only a single map in the history of them playing now 5 times has been won by Carolina. It just feels like one of those draws that you look at and say, well, Chalk can go next, because they just cannot figure out this Thieves team.
Just raw horsepower across the board from the side of Thieves. It never looked like it was going any other way. And for Rex, yeah, truly the baptism of fire.
Yeah,
it's just it's a tough one. But look, I mean, you look at how this matchup's going to go, and you know, we kind of mentioned it. What side of the coin do you look at it on as from the side of Ravens? You know, you got each other the very first time. Of course, just before we're going over towards LAN, you're going to be playing up against each other in winners round 1. The Thieves just the air of confidence. For Ravens, a lot to work on, but have you got time to work on it? That's the question.
Yeah. I know this is one of those things, and I'll go to bat for my guy Dylan Rex right now. Like, he's been so solid.